Hey, you guys, we're back here with amazing panelists. If you caught the first segment, a lot of questions. We're going to ask some more questions. And one of the questions I want to ask, we brought up earlier, materialism. Is it expensive to date, H? You want to take a lady out and do this, and we want to make that first impression.
Yeah.
And we know that you guys want to be wine and dine, and we got to impress that first date. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think so. All right, I think so. There got to be some kind of impression going on there. So you meet somebody. What is the first move? What do you do?
It comes back to that expectation. I mean, I'd like to. I mean, to me, I like to take a walk, take a stroll. You know, especially these nice summer nights or summer days or what have you. I'd like to do that, but I find that my inclination of doing that might be just, oh, are you what? Mm-hmm. So that kind of reaction I would get.
So in other words, you go up to Odine, fine-looking lady, all right, and you ask her, hey, I want to talk to you, and she gives you an opportunity to talk to her, and you want to take her out, but paycheck hasn't come in just yet, okay? And you think, and you perceive, she's nice, and she's been wined and dined and taken all over the world and all stuff like that. I don't know if it's hack. I don't know if it has. So I don't know. I'm not speaking, you guys, because I don't know, okay? I'm assuming, and you wouldn't happen to assume, okay? So you approach Odine, and you say, hey, I want to talk to you, and she says, okay, type of thing, and you say, you want to take a walk down by the boardwalk?
Yeah.
What do you say, Odine?
You know what? I would have no problem with that, and I can say that, like, 100% honestly and from my heart, because I like a walk. That's just the first date. If I like you on that walk, there'll be a second date, and perhaps on the second date we can go somewhere a little fancier if it leads to that. But I think just as much as it's important for the man to impress a woman on the first date, I think any intelligible woman would be feeling that same type of pressure, that she would want to be impressing the gentleman just as much, right? It's a mutual. It's mutual. This whole relationship, it's based on mutual reciprocity and mutual respect and mutual love. Mm-hmm. So for a woman, if you were to offer that to me or any woman, for a woman to be like, I don't know about that, forget it, no, then maybe you shouldn't be that interested in that woman. If she's not interested in the same things that you're interested, maybe right off the bat, there's a lack of compatibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we're spoiled, man. Let's just say what it is, man. We're spoiled. We're in North America, and we've got the gadgets. We got iPhone 5S or whatever is out, and this and that is out. But if we were back, if I was back home in Grenada, and I can't afford it, and I live in a, when my grandmother grew up, there's a little candle up here. That was the light for the entire house. Her toilet was a wicker seat. Like, that's it. You don't have that. And that's the difference between now and, Spider's been married for 37 years. Like,
but you know what? That's a valid point. Because, again, and I keep bringing us back, in today's world, I mean, I see young people walking along the boardwalk, dating and doing whatever, and they're texting messages. They're not even communicating towards one another. I tell you what, I still see my date, and I like what you said about nice warm weather, the beautiful ladies wearing a short skirt. It's summer, of course, right?
What did I miss that conversation?
When he mentioned about but I like dinner and candlelight, and I don't mind. I dinner and candlelight and a great conversation. I like to know people, but I could do the same thing walking through a great conversation.
Spider, do you know this? Was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday or the day before. I was in the basement. My lady's upstairs on the second floor, and she sends me a BBM message to ask me a question instead of just saying, "Hey, come to the stairs. Hey, what's going on?
Where's the milk?"
I came upstairs. I'm like, "Are you serious? You really sent me a BBM message? Like, I would never do that." But that's the type of age that we're in, and you're right. People will be. You'll take a young lady out, you'll sit down at the table, and,
can a date just be a stroll?
Well, you know what? The date begins when you first step to her, first of all. And if you are yourself fully, then you're going to be like, hey, baby, what's up? You want to grab a coffee? You're going to talk like what you're used to doing because you're just presenting yourself. Mm-hmm. If she's not into coffee and she's into champagne, you're not going to get anywhere. But if she is into coffee and you all go for coffee, then it's like you're on the same. You've been on the same page the whole time since the word hello.
I think
right?
Yeah, I think that familiarity is good initially, and then you guys start talking. Let's say that you even make it to that first date. But I think for a lot of the guys now, especially the ones in college, or maybe the ones that have kind of graduated from college or university, I think there's always that thing in the back of their mind where it's like, okay, well, how much money do I have to spend now? And I think that's one of the big things with
yeah,
with a
but
lot of
I don't
guys.
know. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, women will put up with a lot if she really likes the guy. I think that there's
How does she
time
get to
and
like the
time
guy?
and time again that if she feels that she likes that person, she will put up with a lot. Like, I don't necessarily agree that women are like, no, you got to take me out. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Right.
I think that if she really feels that connection with you, there'll be a lot she'll put up with.
And I think that's a key, right?
Yeah.
Because if there is no real connection between the man and the woman,
right.
Then maybe
really,
she
at
is
the end of
just
the day, it's
she
all
is just
about-
looking for that. Yeah,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
just
And I got to tell you
coffee
something
and
very
you
quickly
go
because
for wine
I hear
if
too
it
much
happens.
coming down on women today, young black women. But I can tell you, I see a lot of young black women put up a whole lot of crap for young black men because they dig them and they love them. They have their children, do anything for them. But the brother thinks he's got a women as a trophy today a lot. They're not trophies, and they treat them like that. A lot of them do because that looks cool. It's almost like it's this gang banging thing in the black community. We need young brothers to step up to the plate and teach young men how to treat a woman.
But you know what, Spider? Adding to that,
Touching on
I've seen, many occasions where, and these have been, black women, they have been like in a situation where they know the guy has a woman, but they're still there. Like, what do you like? They're still there. They know he has a woman.
That's a good thing for the guy.
But
Like,
It's a great thing for the guy.
But the guy
But
also
they know
knows he has a woman too, so he knows and she knows. So both of them are guilty.
And it's not
they're
only,
both guilty.
But
right?
again, sorry to sound redundant, but again, that boils back to that woman's self-esteem. And
Exactly.
again, self-esteem issues among us as a people, and I guess as a generation as well. But that's where that comes from. People are sharing.
Can I add to that? I'll speak from experience. I was involved with someone, and I knew he had someone, but what we had was whatever it was, right? And now I look back, I realize, I guess I didn't feel like I deserved someone who could be exclusive to me. To whatever degree, at that time, I didn't feel like I deserved that. And that what was good enough for me was someone who was already attached. So I agree with you 100%. It's about how I was feeling about me.
So is it something that on both sides there's self-esteem issues?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's at the root.
As a guys, we're looking at we have to have a certain income.
Yep.
We have to be a certain height. We have to have a certain amount of money we can take them. We got to have a certain amount of package, if you guys know what I mean.
What do you mean by package?
Well, you know what I mean. Don't touch my leg. Don't touch my knee. All right? Don't touch my knee. Don't touch my knee. All right? And so,
I'm a rich man.
I'm a rich man. So are we thinking as men, that's what they want?
I think so. I definitely
The problem
think so.
is we're touching people's packages. That's the problem.
What touching packages
No, like seriously. And that's for me, like I am Christian and I'm just not trying to jump into bed with anyone. And let's face it, we get involved in sex and we think that we're in love. The Word of God says that. The mixing of two involves something. So obviously, people start having sex on the first date. They start going places and there becomes a bond, an attachment. You can't enter me and not leave something behind. So obviously, I'm going to be attracted to that. And then even if I don't necessarily, before I've woken up to guys and been like, what am I doing? Like,
See, look at
because you're a man, right? Like,
Okay.
no, you just all of a sudden, you're like, what did I just do, right? But there's that sexual bond that you've now created with that individual, and we just have to be careful. We have to be careful with who we sleep with.
It
We
is a tremendous amount
have to
of
be
pressure
careful with that.
on young people today too. I see that working with them. A tremendous amount of pressure on a young man, a young woman they're dating. She don't know. Am I supposed to? Giving him on the first date, or do you expect to get lucky on the first date, whatever you call it today? You know what I mean? These guys, I see young people do this, and it's that's like he's going to like me for myself. and I ain't got to give up anything until I'm ready to, because this is what you try to teach young people.
Well, it's funny because this takes us right back to the initial conversation that we had. A lot of the young men, that's what they're looking for, because they're taught that through the media, through everywhere that they see it. It's hot sex, like it's everywhere. It's selling everything for them, right? They're stepping out expecting to get that. My brother, I had a wonderful conversation with him a few years ago. He wanted to have sex. He's now 19 years old. He wanted to have sex when he was, I think, 16, 17. I said no. I said, if you are going to have sex, you must come and speak to me first. I must know the individual, why you're doing it. You have to give me the proper reason. Absolutely, 100%.
Did he do it?
No, he did not. He just did it a little while ago. And he came to me and he says,
you were taking on the father role then.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I have to, I must.
Okay. And these are things this is important. We did a piece not too long ago, and it was like, how many's too many sexual speaking? Right? So what we do was we asked the question like this. Girls, you meet a guy. Good looking, smart, the whole package. Date number 1, incredible. Date number 2, where you been? Date number 3, I'm loving you. Date number 4, date number 5, number 6. And you're saying, I'm just digging this guy so much. And then he sits down to you, looks into your beautiful brown eyes and says, I got something I got to tell you. I wanted this relationship to start everything from square one in honesty, with sincerity. And I got to tell you a little bit of my past. I used to party a lot. In my partying days, I've been around the block a few times in terms I've been with over 100 girls. But in the last year, I've been 100% celibate, and I've checked myself out a few times, and I'm 100% clean. At that moment, girls, what do you guys do?
Go to bed with them. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
Well, I completely believe in forgiveness and not being judgmental. So I would definitely not entertain sleeping with him at that juncture. I'd have to get to know him better, especially him being celibate.
Is that a practice?
Pardon?
Is that a practice?
Of mine?
No, he's out of practice.
He's out of practice? No, that's not what I'm thinking at all. But I want to respect his celibacy too, right? I'm assuming he's not just going to want to break his celibacy because we're on a date. So, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if he's making an effort to sort of break his addiction.
But you don't dump the dude.
No.
Jane, what do you do?
No, I'll keep him.
You keep him around as well. Okay, guys, girl turns around to you guys and say, listen, man, I got something really important to you guys. And I've been around the block a few times, all right, and tuned to maybe 50 guys. What do you guys say?
That's tough.
That's tough. 50? How come it's only 50 for us?
No, you was 100 for you guys. Okay. And here's the whole thing. And people say to me, Al, there's a double standard in society. I said, there is a double standard. Here's a double standard, though. The double standard is this. We are holding you guys to keep the number down, but you guys aren't holding us to keep the number down. Well, you guys would date and marry a man whore, we won't. They'll take you out, but they're not going to take you home to meet mom.
That's right.
Okay? And so could it be that the women, I'm not blaming women here, it's our generation, it's in the media, are we jumping into, like Colleen said, are we jumping into bed too fast and throwing these hormones, these endorphins, and all these other things that basically attaches to that person? And then we're attached to that person, and you guys were saying, that guy who's not going to treat him right, that little gangbanger type of guy, Spider, and says, I'm attached to that guy though. I gave him all I had. But he's abusing it and mistreating it. Instead of being compassionate and understanding and true love, we are giving it away too soon. Think about it. Now Ingrid's thinking and she's pondering. Okay, give me what's on your mind, Ingrid.
Well, I gotta say, I'm just thinking about how I felt, when I was much younger. And I have to say, I was always truthful to whatever felt right to me in that moment, I always went with that. And it's difficult to say, when you're in your late teens, your early 20s, that's when you want to have fun. That's when your body, you start to realize what feels good. You know what I'm saying? And you just, I guess it has a lot to do with your upbringing, has a lot to do with, how you were raised and what you were exposed to. But at the end of the day, it's like, I never did anything and felt guilty afterwards, and I don't look back with any regret. I stayed so true. I stayed true to what I stayed true to me.
Yeah. Okay. I was born in Jamaica. Grew up here most of my life, but I still remember what it was like living in Jamaica. My relatives are still very, very Jamaican. The patois comes out every 2 seconds, and with the guys, in our family. Like, understand that I love my family, but I do recognize that the male figures, not all of them, but many of the male figures in our family, I mean, it's coming out from time to time that, this kid's popping up here, and it's like, oh, I got another cousin. Where have you been for the past 20 years? And, you hear of previous stories of them being with that woman, or them being with, I don't know, that sister down there, or whatever it is. And then, you kind of hear that. And as guys, you kind of pick up on this. It's like, is this part of me? Like, is this what my dad did, or is this what my uncle did? So if it's okay for them to do it, it's probably okay for us to do it as well. Now, I see you shaking your head, but I mean, growing up,
yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, well, if I do it,
no,
you
because
can't really tell me
sometimes
anything.
that generation, I think, especially in that culture, it's almost like, I don't want to make excuses for them, but some of them literally just didn't know any better. Now you do know better, so it's inexcusable.
Now, yes.
Yes. You're absolutely right, because I had a heart-to-heart with my father. I grew up with my father. I was like you. My father was around, and he said, he's coming from the West Indies, and he said, you know what, this. Yeah, it was accepted. You as long as you took care of the individual, the offspring, right? It was okay. It was an accepted practice. Fast forward to North America and all that stuff. There's roadblocks to that. I mean, that was how it was.
And they're not taking care of them today. First of all, there's many single parent mothers out there, and they know who the father of the child is, and the father knows, but they're not doing anything to support him. Now, when I was growing up, it's a little different because I grew up in a Christian home, and I could, and I'll tell you the truth is, never mind all the swagger and stuff I put on, I could date a woman many, many times without looking to go to bed with her, because I had feelings of guilt just for masturbation. I figured, oh God, the Lord, I'm hitting on the jack, the Lord's going to come down.
How many fingers do you see here? You know what they say about it. How many fingers do you see here?
I tell you straight up, it was really difficult for us back then. And any child I had out of wedlock was one. And I took care of that child. But today, they lack responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let me throw this one back at you. One of my favorite songs I was telling you guys earlier is Just My Imagination, Temptations, okay? And it says, I look through the window and watch her as she passes by. Okay, but there's a song in this part. There's a part in the song that says, we'll be married and raise a family, have a cozy little house out in the country, with 2 children, maybe 3. Okay, what's the progress here?
That's a fairy tale.
Hang on, fairy tale. Okay, get this. What's the first one here? Married, cozy little house in the family, and then 2 children, maybe 3. Okay, and when you're a little kid, you have that little nursery rhyme. If you like somebody, Kashan and so-and-so sitting in the tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes what?
Love.
Second comes what?
Marriage.
Third comes what?
Baby
and a baby carriage. Where have we changed so far in our society? Could that be part of the problem?
Well, I don't think the songs are different now. Nursery rhymes are turned into rap.
There you go.
Let's get the money. Let's get the girls. Let's get more.
Not even women anymore. They're bitches and hoes.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's kind of sad.
A lot of it says F love. It's quite the opposite of what you were lucky enough to grow up with. So consider that generation, again, I feel is blessed, because like a lot of the music that these kids are growing up being like inadvertently brainwashed by says the exact opposite of what that song
That's exactly.
represents.
So I'm doing a photo shoot with one of our clients, and I'm asking some of the clients about some of the issues we're going through in the magazine. And I asked them, how would you feel, okay, if your mom sat you down, okay, and said, your father, he's not really your father. How would you feel? And she says to me, Al, that's really funny that you said that, because 2 weeks ago, that happened to me. Mom sat me down and told me my father's not really my father.
Interesting.
Wow. Yes. And I said, how do you feel? She goes, I'm messed up. I'm totally messed up. The point is our role becoming redundant? Now, if you go into a sex store, okay, why is 80% of the product in there for females? Okay, are we basically just being there, taking out the garbage as men? Are we being reduced to something that, I don't know, garbage man, come and clean this up type of thing? H, can you take this out for me over here? By the way, can you do this for me? I'm taking care of business.
Sounds like my life.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, we're going to answer that question the more we